So just after the Central Bank of Iran governor Abdul Nasser Hemati confirmed in a televised interview that Iran's oil exports had dropped to zero amid the ongoing conflict and tightening US sanctions.
خب ما هم بالاخره این اتفاق افتاده، نفت صادر نمی‌کنیم، این که دیگه یک واقعیتی. ولی ما پیش بینی‌های لازم رو کردیم. اینجوری نیست که ما پیش بینی نکرده باشیم و دولت و بانک مرکزی اقدامات لازم رو برای این کار کرده. فرق ما با دولت‌های مثل قطر و عراق اینا اینه که اونا ذخایرشون دسترسی دارن بهش، ولی ما ذخایرمون هم آمریکایی‌ها مسدود کردن و اجازه برداشت بهش نمیدن.
President Masoud Pezeshkian called for an end to the war now that Iran, in his view, still retains its power and dignity. Then you had the parliament speaker Mohammed Galibaf admitting something even more revealing. Iran cannot endure if its people go hungry. Now, Hemati also emphasized that Iran remains severely constrained because its foreign currency reserves are frozen by Washington. Those are not the kinds of statements you make when everything is going according to plan. Hemati's comments are particularly interesting because they represent an unusually direct acknowledgement of the severity of Iran's export and liquidity problems. And his statement about oil exports is also a slap in the face of all those IRGC fanboys who were flooding my comments claiming Iran was simply replacing its maritime exports with oil moving through railways, the Caspian Sea, and whatever other imaginary logistics network they invented that day. If you think otherwise, then show me the infrastructure, show me the pipelines, show me the rail capacity, show me the terminals, show me the volumes. You can't just simply invent a transportation network because you desperately want Iran to be winning. And there is something else I find interesting. Listen to the tone coming from the Iranian president and the parliament speaker. They don't sound like people speaking from a position of complete control. It almost sounds like they are appealing to the hardliners inside the regime, the people who keep making threats against America, to consider a way out. And then, almost immediately, you see the familiar pattern. They make a statement acknowledging the pressure, then they walk it back and they return to threatening America. That's politics inside the regime under pressure. And it potentially tells us something important about the cracks developing within the system. Now, does this mean the regime is about to collapse? Nobody knows. Not the Americans, not the opposition, and frankly, not even the IRGC itself. That's why I find this argument so stupid, that the regime is solid, you remove one person and another person simply replaces him. That's not how human beings or political systems work. You can replace a leader, you cannot automatically replace the institutional stability, loyalty, resources, morale, public patience, and political cohesion that kept the system functioning around that leader. Every regime has a threshold. There is a level of economic pain people can tolerate. There is a level of military pressure they can tolerate. There is a level of political instability they can tolerate. And eventually, there is a point where the cost of continuing becomes greater than the cost of changing course. Where that threshold is for Iran, nobody knows. But don't make the mistake of assuming there isn't one. So while America is trying to push the Iranian regime toward that threshold, the Iranian leadership is doing everything it can to survive without appearing weak. And that's ultimately what this comes down to. The Americans want the regime to bend, the regime wants to survive. And in a war like this, survival isn't guaranteed simply because you have missiles, slogans, or loyal supporters online. In the end, it comes down to hope, endurance, and will. Think sharper.